Welcome everybody. Rosh Chodesh Adar. So Misha Nichnas Adar Marbim Simcha. As I spoke about over Shabbos, we always have to be in a state of Simcha. And I think what's interesting, one would think that, what do you mean, how can you just become happier, right? The answer is, it's very simple. You do things by putting yourself in situations that actually makes you happier. We sometimes think that things that happen to us affect our mood. I believe that we can actually be proactive and we can actually affect our mood. Meaning, if we want, we can be in a situation, and how we look at different situations can actually make us happier and more besimcha. And not the other way around necessarily. So what I wanted to do today, and this is a, I don't know how far we're going to get. I could talk about this for a really, really long time. Megillat Esther is a phenomenal story. We're all familiar with definitely the outline of the story. There's a gazillion questions, because much of the Megillah makes no sense. I'm probably only going to have time to deliver a very small slice of a much larger shir that I want to give, and maybe over time we'll be able to fill in the missing parts. So a lot of this is based on something that I heard from Rabbi Foreman. I want you to think that a lot of this is my own ideas, and I think it really, without understanding the Megillah, it makes absolutely no sense. Let's just begin. So here we go. Question number one: why does the Megillah last for so long? Anybody know what parak is Haman hanged in? Right? He's already in parak, in page 3 at the top, in parak Zayin. Look at pasuk Yud. But the Megillah goes on for 8, 9, and 10. 3 more paraks. The last parak should be short. But still, why? Why is that? Like, hey, Haman's dead. It's over. What is it continuing for? Question number 2. Why is it called Purim? It's very strange to call the holiday of Purim. You mean to tell me just because Haman decided to cast lots, that's what we should call the day Purim? The Megillah actually says that's not the reason why it's called Purim. Did you ever notice? Take a look. Where do we see that Purim is called Purim? Right. So where do we see? No. Where do we see that? Where is that? Oh no! Did I cut that out? I hope not. Here it is. Take a look at the top of page 4, Pasuk Chavav, which is Pertes. Alkein karuli yamim ela Purim. Therefore, we call. Listen very carefully to the language of the Megillah. We call these days Purim al shem hapur, because of the lottery. Al kain al kol divrei hageres azos. Umara'u al kacha uma higia aleihem. Kimu v'kibla yudim aleihem v'alzram v'kol nevim aleihem lo yavol liot osim b'shem me'ela tichsavam v'chizmanam. Havima ela niskerim v'nesim v'chol v'dor mishpacham dar b'dina v'ir v'ir v'mei p'me ela lo yavru mitoch ayudim v'zichram lo yasuf mizaram. If you wanted to say, you know why the holiday of Purim is called Purim? Say what? Because of the poor. What poor? Just what lottery is it referring to exactly? If it's Haman's lottery, say it is Haman's lottery. Right? And also, you don't start off by saying that's why it is called. You say, there was a lottery, that's why we call it Purim. That's not what it says here. It says it's called Purim. Oh, and there was a lottery. It should be in the reverse order. There's something very strange going on there as well. Number 3. You ever notice the psukim that we say out loud? Ish Yudya Yavshushan Abrush Mordechai Ben Yer Ben Shimi Ben Kish Ish Yemini Asher Haglam Yerushalayim, right? The tune of Echa. And then later on, Mordechai Yatsa, right? Milifnei Melech Tchilit V'chur V'butz, right? Dressed up. Virushusan says, what's up with that? And by the way, is that such a happy time? It's not a happy time. You know what plot is still in the air? They're still going to kill the Jewish people. So what's this going on? We're missing something. We're missing something very important. Also, what's very strange is look at the way the Megillah ends. That's it. Parak Yud. Gadol layudim ratzur lebrovechav. Doresh tov lamo v'dever shalom l'chol zara. He's like Doresh tov lamo. He speaks, proper or good to his people. Dover shalom. He seeks peace for all. What a strange ending to the Megillah. Why don't we say happily ever after? Jews moved back to Israel. I don't know, some happy ending, right? What is this with all this ending with Dover? Why is Dover Shalom the end of the Megillah? Very strange. Next, when Esther, for the first time, goes to Achashverosh, what does she ask for? After the big 3 days of fasting, what does she ask for? Ima Melech Tov. What? Come to a party. Will you and Haman come to a party tonight? At the party, what does she ask for? Come to another party tomorrow night. So the question is she nervous? Is she scared? What's up with those parties? And what's interesting, when did she become emotional? When did she go crazy and start crying her guts out? But it's over already. Take a look at where she goes crazy. Drama queen, Esther. You win the Academy Award. Take a look over here. It's in... Here. Take a look in Perek Ches. In Pasuk Gimel. This is way after, Haman's dead already, right? In Perek Yud. In Pasuk Yud, the previous Perek. Vatosves the Melech looked good. Vatipol lifnei raglav. Vateis. Vatischanen lo lavir es ra'as Haman agagivas machshavto asher chashav al Yehudim. She totally there goes crazy. So it's a very what's happening here? It's a very strange thing. Why all of a sudden there is she going nuts? Also, there's a whole emphasis on Mordechai tells the people when you defend yourself on Purim, which is a strange thing, right? Jews need a right to defend themselves. Why did you send out a letter saying Jews can defend themselves? You're allowed to defend yourself, no? Why did you have to send out a letter saying Jews can defend themselves? Just cancel the previous letter. What's going on here? And here's another thing that's very strange. Mordechai writes and tells the people, go and plunder, take whatever booty and loot you can from the enemies. Right? Take a look at that. Here. Take a look at Perek Ches, Pasuk Yud Aleph. Asher nasan hamelech yodim b'chol asher v'lekehelam ad Hashem, you can defend themselves. La'ashmid, laharog, ulabed. Who is this referring to? Es kol chel ha'am umdem dina usam taf nashim ushlulam lavos. B'yom echad b'chol minos hamelech Achashverosh v'shasar l'chodesh v'zor chodesh adar passhegen aksav linasin des chol medina galu l'chol amim liyos ayudim asil yamazel lihi nakem oivehem. What is this letter? The letter is saying that Jews can defend themselves, and what can they do? They can murder men, women, children. Take ushlalam, take the booty, take all the loot from the war. Take it all. But what happens? They don't touch anything. The Torah, the Megillah mentions in a number of different places. Where am I reading from? Take a look at Perek Tes. When Bnei Yisrael actually defended themselves, look at Pasuk Tes Vav. Then they don't take... What's going on here? Take it! Wipe out the men, women, children! Take everything! And they don't. What's going on here? Alright, Haman's question, we'll just do a couple more, then we got to start answering. I don't know what we're going to get to today. Take a look at this. When Haman actually goes to Achashverosh, look at Perek Gimel. Pasuk Ches. Haman shows up to Achashverosh, and he says the following: Yishno am echad, mifuzar meforai ben armim. There's this one nation, spread out among the nations. They have different rules. They don't follow the king's wishes. It's just not worth it to leave them around. Now, why does Haman need that entire introduction? Just say that there's people that live in your communities, in your countries, and they don't follow your rules. Why does Haman have to say they're spread out everywhere? Why? Just say, there are these people, they don't follow your rules. Isn't that enough of a reason to kill them? They are essentially, it's called treason when you don't follow what the king says. So isn't it enough to say, there are these people and they commit treason, let's kill them? Instead it's this, there's this nation, they're spread out. Who cares about that introduction? It's irrelevant. What's going on here? And also, why does Achashverosh choose Esther? She doesn't put on any makeup. She doesn't adorn herself. Well, Achashverosh is so interested in inner beauty, and he notices the inner spiritual neshama of Esther, and is so attracted to her. Well, come on, it's ridiculous, right? Why does Achashverosh see in Esther the ultimate queen of Persia? Why? What does he see in her? Okay, let's somehow begin to tackle some of these issues, and I think this is amazing. This really is amazing. Well, so far we're going to go. Let's start. One, why does Achashverosh choose Esther? We're going to answer the last one first. Why does Achashverosh choose Esther? I think it's very simple. The role of a queen is to best represent the people, right? When you're the queen of Persia, she is the mother of Persia. She is the mother of all the nations, of everybody. Maybe if he could find somebody that has no identity, you can fit with a new identity the best. Meaning, Esther doesn't tell, where you come from, where do you live. To some extent, maybe Achashverosh wants nobody and nobody so that she could become a somebody. She doesn't identify necessarily with any nation or any people. Therefore, she can represent everybody. She's the mother, the queen of the great Persian Empire of Achashverosh. Right? None of this, you actually stand for yourself, you actually represent yourself. If you don't have a family, if you don't have, a real cultural tie, then to some extent, everyone can relate to you much better. If you see yourself as being a Hittite, and that's who you are, well, it's not good if you want to unite all the kingdoms. 127 provinces or kingdoms is a lot. And you want to unite everyone. Maybe Achashverosh saw in Esther something very useful and practical they didn't see in the other women. Now, let's jump for a minute and see the following. How does Esther, when Esther finally goes to Achashverosh, look what she says to him. Take a look at this. Go to, please, Perek Zayin. So we have to ask ourselves a question. Why is it that Esther decides only at the third time to pop the question? There's this guy, he's terrible, he wants to destroy the Jewish people, he's Haman, he's awful, please save me, save the Jewish people, kill Haman. Right? That's essentially the issue. Why does she push it off? Why doesn't she just pop the question? After all, what does Achashverosh say? What do you want? We'll split the entire kingdom 50-50. Why is it that she intentionally stalls? I want to argue she's not doing this. Achashverosh, I want to tell you something. Come to a party. No. I want to argue that she's totally calculating. She's really thinking everything that she does. Party 1 is intentional. Party 2 is intentional. There are a number of different parties in the Megillah. The beginning of the Megillah has big parties. Music, lots of people, food, loud, noisy music. There's other parties. And this is a very interesting party. What type of party, this is the Mishteh Asher Echinu Achashverosh that Esther says. What type of party is it that Esther invites Achashverosh to? What? What was that? A very conservative party. This is quiet. White gloves, soft music in the background. But here's something very interesting. Who's invited to this party? What's Haman doing at this party? Achashverosh says, I understand why I'm here. I'm the king. You're my queen. Who's this third guy? What? Very good. There's no question, I think we all realize this perhaps intuitively, that Esther couldn't put her eggs in the basket saying, oh, Achashverosh is a Jew lover, but Achashverosh could be a jealous husband. So therefore, but look what she says. Now, here's another problem. If Esther reveals and says, listen, Achashverosh, I got to tell you something. Here's something very important you got to know. I'm a Jew, and this guy Haman wants to kill Jewish people. What might Achashverosh say? Jewish people? You're Jewish? I didn't know that. You never told me. See the danger? What can Esther say to Achashverosh that's going to make her not get in trouble and lose her own head? Because she goes to Achashverosh and says, Achashverosh, there's this thing called Jews and they're going to die. I need you to help me. Ahasuerus could say, I don't care. Maybe I'll save you, but why should I care about the Jewish people? You follow? And that's, by the way, exactly what happens. So Esther, and remember what Esther represents. Esther's this queen. Remember what happens to someone who does, a queen who kind of stands up to her husband? Vashti? What happens to her? We actually don't know, but we assume she gets killed. It doesn't really say. She gets banished, she gets killed. It doesn't matter. She's not in the picture anymore. Right? She's not wearing the crown. So Esther's in a real predicament. Why? Because she has to go and appear to be the exact opposite of who she is. She needs to represent everybody, and now she has to show allegiance to who? This one nation, which is the antithetical to her entire personality, and perhaps antithetical to the reason why Ahasuerus chooses her to be queen to begin with. And so look how she has to phrase it. Let's go to Perek Zayin, please. This is already the second night. My soul, my request, ve'ami. Now she puts it out there, my nation with my request. Kinim karnu, ani v'ami. Interesting. She has to say ani every time, right? Because why? She has to make this seem personal. Right? Ani v'ami. Lashmi larog labed ve'ilu lishvachos. If you just be sold into slavery, I wouldn't say anything. It's not right, it would be sold into slavery. I wouldn't waste your time with slaves. That wants to do this. I believe there's a big problem. The fact that Ahasuerus gets up and walks to his garden and he has to think about what's happening puts Esther in a very difficult situation. Because if Ahasuerus is clever, he could say, wait a second, I can resolve all this. Let the Jews die and Esther will be safe because she's the queen. No? Meaning, Ahasuerus could avoid a lot of trouble and just say, what's the problem? And by the way, when Ahasuerus steps out and Haman pleads with Esther for those couple of minutes, we don't know what he says. But Haman could say very logically, listen, Esther, it's a very terrible mistake. I didn't realize you were Jewish. It's not my fault. You didn't tell anybody you were Jewish. And by the way, where are your allegiances? You have much more allegiance to Persia than to the Jews. You die? You're not going to die. You're the queen. We'll protect you. The Jews will die. You don't really care, do you? If you cared so much, why wouldn't you tell people? So to some extent, Esther's in a very difficult predicament. It happened to be that Esther planted a bug in Ahasuerus' head. And what's that? That what? Not just evil Haman, but jealous Ahasuerus. Right? That's a better bug to plant in a man's head. Right? So when he walks in and he sees, look at the next pasuk. Look at Ches. And he backs into the party room. He's pleading. He's arguing with her. Do you also want to steal my wife, my queen, with me in the house? I think Haman is trying to put the move on Esther. That's ridiculous. His life's at stake. But it's called a Freudian slip, right? Ahasuerus is exactly saying what he's thinking. And he blurts it out. And it's at that moment Haman's dead. Or he's not dead, but potentially in trouble. And it's really charvona. So now we see that Charvona also helps us out here. Again, it's a personal thing. It can't be that Ahasuerus is going to save the Jewish people or kill Haman more than happy to kill Haman, because Haman wants to kill Mordechai, he sees as a loyal friend. Much more likely to kill Haman because why? Because Haman is trying to perhaps steal Esther. So for that reason, what? I have no problem getting rid of Haman. But the problem is, the 13th of Adar, the day of death and destruction, is still hovering, and nothing has really happened with that day. So now what happens? Very simple. They go and they have to plead their case. And what do the Jewish people plead their case? Esther has to come, and now you understand why it's this time Esther has to cry her head off. Because this is real. This is now. Getting rid of Haman is one thing, but there's this evil decree. Okay, I'm going to do this in 30 seconds because I want to get to actually the main point, which I didn't even get to yet. Why is it that Mordechai has to get paraded around, the Jews celebrate, and they have to make the biggest deal about a new letter that goes out? Well, let's take a look at what Achashverosh says after Esther pleads to him. Take a look at this. Look at Pasuk Perek Ches, Pasuk. We kind of did give already. Look at Dalet. Look at Hey. But Tomer the Malach Tov. This is already, she begs and she gets an audience. By the way, you notice at this time he doesn't offer Chasya Malchus anymore. Esther starting to annoy him a little bit, right? Esther knows this. Listen, you have to rescind that letter that went out. And Esther is forced to identify with her own people. She has to say now, meaning, why? Esther was hoping, by killing Haman that would destroy the letter. But it didn't happen, did it? What can Esther argue now? Haman, the person who wants to kill Mordechai, is gone. Now she has to totally identify with the Jewish people. She has no choice. Because what else is she going to argue in front of Achashverosh? Look at this. Look at his answer. I've given the House, the government, the legislature, the power to who? To Esther. I've already hanged him. Write whatever you want to write to the Jews. The name of the king. Sign and seal the king. Guess what his answer is? He says, no, I'm not so interested in canceling the letter that was sent out. I actually don't really care so much. But at least he gives Mordechai a little bit of power. So now you understand. They write a letter. Now imagine if you're sitting there and you get this letter a few weeks earlier, right? And you're saying the 13th of Adar, you get to wipe out all the entire Jewish people, men, women, and children. You're like sharpening your knives. You're like waking up really early to take extra bow and arrow practice. You want to be the best fencer because you are ready for that 13th of Adar to wipe out the Jewish people. You are ecstatic. The anti-Semites are salivating. Then you get another letter. Imagine if that letter said, oh, by the way, we changed our mind. You'd be like, what's the other guy's schizophrenic? I don't understand. So if you want to know, what does the palace really think? Which letter is real, which letter is fake? I believe Mordechai pulls off a very clever political move. Mordechai has to show that the palace, even though they're not, is backing the second letter, not the first letter. So what does Mordechai do? He goes out as the leader of these people, as the person who signed the letter. I'm wearing the royal garb. Like you did, they stage it. It's all a fake. Why does the letter say the letter copies that first letter? That's why the language has to be the same. Destroy men, women, children, exact same. So when you get the letter, you're like, oh my goodness, it has to be as powerful as that first letter. Or else you're going to think, oh no, the first letter is real, the second letter is fake. You don't know what's going on. You live like hundreds of miles away. You want to know what's the pulse of the king, the pulse of the palace. So Mordechai politically is brilliant. He makes this whole shenanigan. There's no twinning, there's no even, to get the word out that the palace is behind Mordechai and the Jews. The second one is more powerful, and I believe that's why he has to set this whole thing up. But there's the most important part we haven't even gotten to yet, and that's what I want to do now. Please turn to Parak Dalet. Top of page 2. Parak Dalet. Mordechai Yadad Kol Asher Nasa Vayikra Mordechai Begadav. Mordechai, here's what happens. What does that mean? The letter went out to show the Jewish people. I can spend a lot of time in this parak. I have in the past. I'm not going to. I need to run to get to a certain point. Okay, all the other nations where they hear about what's going on, it's a terrible mourning time for the Jewish people. Esther doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know what's going on. It's quite... Mordechai shows Esther the letter that was written. Oh, it's so important, but I can't do it now. This is what I want to show you. Mordechai tells Esther, you need to go and do something about it. And if you don't do something about it, it's going to be terrible for the Jewish people. Look how he phrases it, though. Look how she responds. What does she say? Let's go to Yud Aleph. Perak Daled Yud Aleph. She says the following. If I go to the king without permission, he could kill me. Unless, of course, he lowers his scepter. Look what Mordechai says there. V'yu Mordechai Esther divrei melech. V'yu Mordechai l'shiv Esther. All to the miv and ashech l'les beis hamelech v'golidim. Don't think you can save yourself from run away in the king's palace from all the Jews. Ki im hacharesh tacharishi be'es hazos. How would you translate hacharesh tacharishi? What's charesh? What's a charesh? Death. What does it mean? What do you mean? I.e., what's the difference between being charesh? Sorry. If you're going to be a deaf mute at this moment, right? What's the other word for saying you're not going to talk in Hebrew? What's the other word for being quiet in Hebrew? Shaked. Why doesn't it say that if you're shaked? Why such a strong language? There's only one other place in the entire Torah where those words, charesh, appear. Only one other place. We'll get there in a second. Somewhere else there'll be salvation to the Jewish people. But you and your house will die, and who knows, maybe perhaps this is what got you to this place. Somehow this inspires Esther. By the way, it's a very strange way to argue. Oh, by the way, you don't go to the king, you'll die, just people will live. How do I know that exactly? That's not so obvious. For whatever reason, it inspires her. She goes out and now tells Mordechai what to do. And look at how it ends. I bolded it there. The kasher avaditi. I'm going to go, and if I die, so be it. That phrase, avaditi, is a very important phrase as well. Please turn to what appears to be a totally random spot in Chumash. Page 4 in the middle. We need to learn the laws of Nidarim for a minute. Take a look at the Midbar Perek Lamed. V'isha kisidor neder la'Hashem. If a woman takes a vow, v'asra isar b'veis avia b'nureha, and in the house of her father when she's young, meaning, let me just explain halachically here, if she's a little girl, her father can annul it. If she's married, then her husband can annul a vow that she takes. V'shama avia es nidra. Her father hears the vow. V'asara asher asra nafsha, or not the neder or v'asara, or so neder is that she made that item forbidden to her, or she, like kol nidrei v'asarei v'kunimei, all those words are different halachic categories for promises. So either that she accepted a promise not to do something, or she said that item, I'm no longer going to eat bread. Okay, there's between the object of the person. V'charish la aviha, and her father is quiet. V'kamu kol nidareha, all of the vows are established. V'chi isar shashan of shayakum. Kol neder ushvua isar lenos nevesh yisha yikimena v'isha yifi rena. Any vow that you take, by the way, the word isha with a dagesh means what? Her husband, right? Her husband can establish. Her husband can also, yifi rena means to annul. Her husband can establish. Her husband can annul. Meaning, you hear the vow, the husband has the ability to establish it or to annul it. The father has the ability to establish it or to annul it. And here, ladies, is the only other place in Chumash where this phrase, in Tanakh, this phrase appears. Ve'im hecharesh yacharish la. Remember Mordechai told Esther? Right? Im charesh tacharishi be'eis hazos. Ve'im hacharesh tacharish la. If you're going to be silent. Miyom hayom ve'hekim eskol nidareha. All your promises we establish. O es kol asareha, other types of vows. Asher Allah hikimosa ki hechrish la b'yom shamo, as you were quiet the day that was heard. Meaning, if the husband hears his wife take a vow and he's silent for 24 hours, what's the default setting? The vow is established. If the husband argues and says, no, I don't want this vow to take place, he argues immediately. It's not the next day, it's that day he hears the vow, he annuls it, the vow is annulled. Im hafer yafirosam achrei shimov nasas avona. What happens in the event that you're quiet and you allow that woman to take on that vow? Take a look at Rashi. V'nasa es avona, hu nichnas tachteha, lamdu mikan hagorem ta'kal chaviro, hu nichnas tachtav l'chol onshin. Meaning, in the event the husband annuls it right away, great. If not, if the vow is allowed to stick, and the husband should have annulled it, to some extent he bears responsibility, because he was silent. Parallels are unbelievable. What's Mordechai telling Esther? If you're going to be silent, so here it's translate the word v'isha, not as your husband, but isha, a woman. If Esther is quiet, Esther has an opportunity to annul her husband's vow, right? So again, it's the reverse in the Torah. I realize that, but that's what's really neat, right? So again, you want to be silent, you could argue in your husband's vow. And what happens if you are passive? Rashi says, you're passive, you let it establish, v'nasas avona, you bear responsibility, as if you're part of the problem, as if you're contributing to this evil, if you are silent. I believe that is the language that Mordechai is using to Esther. Mordechai is telling Esther, you have a choice. You can be silent, but remember, if you're silent, you bear responsibility. The word to annul a vow, ladies, is what word? L'hafer. Man, what word does that sound like? Purim. It's the exact same word. When we see here, why is this whole story is about, will Esther get up and annul the vow? Will she try and say something? Will she try and argue? Or will she remain passive and just let things be? So Purim is called Purim, Al Shem HaPur. What Pur? The Hafara of Esther. Because she got up to annul the vow. She tried once, she tried twice, she tried 3 times, and it was that 4th time where she was finally able to get traction, or maybe not even get enough traction. Because she stood up, put her whole neck out on the line. That is why we have Purim. It's not because of the Pur of Haman. It doesn't say that anywhere in the Megillah. It's the Hafara of, perhaps, Esther. If you take a look in Perek Tes, it mentions 8 times that Mordechai establishes Purim. 8 different times. We don't have time to look at it now. Trust me on there. 8 times. Why? Because that's the battle. When do you annul and when do you establish? It's exactly what's happening in this context. Take a look a little bit later. We're not done yet. Why aren't we done? Because we have another important topic that we still have to get to. And that is Kasher Avaditi Avaditi. Take a look. Let's compare what Esther says with the Torah told us many, many, many years earlier. Here we go. Bereshit, take a look at that, page 4, the 3rd source in the bottom. The Kel Shaka Yiten Lachem Racham Minifnei Ha'ish. This is Yaakov speaking to his sons. V'shilach Lachem Es Achichem Achar Ves Binyamin V'ani Ka'asher Shakolti Shakalti. Those are the only 2 places where we have this double language. Avaditi Avaditi, Shakolti Shakalti. Not only that, I believe that what really is happening in the story of the Megillah is, we know that many years earlier, something terrible happened to Yoseph. That his brothers picked up and sold him. And no one spoke up. Reuven tried, he didn't do it properly. The brothers went through a terrible time, Mechiras Yosef. And by the way, what ended up happening is that Yaakov himself thought that he was responsible for the that the Yosef disappeared. Why? Because Yaakov is one that sends Yosef to his brothers, and Yosef doesn't come back. But it's a terrible trick. The brothers are tricking the father into thinking that he's responsible when they should take responsibility. Right? When this is over with, we know what happens with Binyamin. Eventually the cup is right. Yaakov says, okay, you got to go bring down Binyamin, you got to do it. What's going to happen? I have no idea. Kasher shakolti, right? What happens if... Oh, there's one more pasuk I didn't show you. Yeah. What ends up happening, the goblet is placed in Binyamin's sack. Comes along Yehuda, who originally said, Mabetza ki narages achinu, let's not kill him, let's instead sell him. That's Yehuda comes. What does he do in front of Yosef? He says, you can't. By the way, if you think logically for a minute, all Yosef could have said, wait a second, I found the goblet of Binyamin's cup. He'll be a slave. You guys get to go home, right? That's what Yosef says. What's the problem? Yehuda says no. Absolutely not. He made a promise. Take a look at Mem Dalid, second source there from the bottom. What Yosef says, Chaz Shalom, whoever's cup I found in will be a slave. Yehuda, here's that words. Yehuda is saying that his father said that 2 sons were born to my mother. Wait a second. Yaakov had only one wife? How many wives did he have? Didn't he have 4 or maybe 2? How difficult must have been that for Yehuda to say. How necessary is it for him to say? And look at the next pasuk. Ki ech el avi v'nar einenu iti pinerav rasher yimsa es avi. That pasuk is the exact same pasuk that Esther tells Achashverosh, except that instead of avi, she says the word ami. Take a look. I read it quickly, but if you flip to Perek Ches, pasuk Vav. Ke'eracha uchav ra'isi b'rasher yimsat ami. Ve'eracha uchav ra'isi ba'avdan moladeti. The words, the phrase is almost the exact same. Right? The parallel structure is almost the exact same. The Megillah is telling us, ladies, this is a similar story to Yehuda Binyamin. But look at the irony that's involved here. What family is Mordechai from? Binyamin, Ish Yemini. Who is in trouble? Yehudi. No? The Yehudi, this is the first time we see Jews identified as Yehudim, basically. Right? Yehudim are being destroyed, and who's saving them? Binyamin. How ironic. The Megillah, I believe, is really trying to tell us the Mechiras Yosef story. It's been lingering. The Jews are lived in Galus. That's how they got to Galus. The Megillah Esther's in Galus. There is a tikkun. There is a way to finish and to complete the situation. And I believe this is the story. Megillah Esther is more than just a story about salvation of the Jewish people, but it's about the unity of the Jewish people. And what will bring the unity of the Jewish people? When we're not silent. When we speak out. La fair, we have to annul the vows. But if we are silent, we're just letting life be the way it is. Maybe, perhaps, just like Esther goes through this transformation, someone who is silent and someone who is passive, and eventually she takes a stand, and eventually she'll be able to transform the Jewish people. She has to recognize and be comfortable with her own identity, and doesn't admit her own identity, then it's not going to happen, it's not going to work, despite the fact that it might lead her to death. How did Mordechai know that Esther maybe will perish, and somehow the Jewish people will be saved? I guess Mordechai knows that somehow the Jewish people are going to survive lots of challenging situations. But it's the person that steps up, it's the person that's not silent, that for sure will ensure the continuation of Jewish people. And those people that think that by being silent and quiet and passive, they're going to be okay, just like Esther would be okay in the king's palace, is totally mistaken. Even though it's counterintuitive, you think if you're quiet, you can avoid things and you'll be okay. That's actually absolutely not true. We learned that from Mordechai and Esther. And so I think the real story, and then we're going to end with this. What's that last pasuk in the Megillah? Very strange conclusion. Last pasuk in Megillah, in the Perek Yud, says, Ki Mordechai Yehudi Mishalem Achashverosh, Gadol La Yehudim, emphasis on Yehudim. Ratzur the Rav, the multitude of people like him. His brothers love him. Doresh Tov Lamo V'Dover Shalom L'Chol Zaro. What is this phrase, Dover Shalom? Look at the bottom of page 4. The only other place in the Chumash, I believe, that we see this phrase. Vayru Echav Ki Oso Ahav Avihem Mikol Echav Vayisnu Oso V'Lo Yachlu Dabero L'Shalom. The brothers couldn't speak Daber, so they couldn't speak with him peacefully. They couldn't even talk to him properly. What does Mordechai become at the end? Mordechai is the Dover Shalom. Mordechai is the Tikkun. We see that Mordechai rectifies what the brothers couldn't accomplish. Mordechai, I believe, accomplishes this idea and this goal. And that, I think, really is the message of Purim. On a much more significant level, perhaps, than we've all been familiar with. I want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a Purim Sameach. It's Rosh Chodesh Adar. It's like strange, 2 weeks in advance, but that's what happens when you have, I guess, reading week in between.